Today we're going to remove the front axle from my Wildcat XX. It's got a small tear in the CV boot. We're going to replace that boot. We're going to start by removing the lug nuts and taking off the wheel. Now we're going to remove the tire and wheel. Set it there. So as you can see, the CV boot has been leaking. I thought maybe duct tape would be enough to seal it temporarily, but that white stuff is grease. It is seeped out past the edges of the duct tape. Next you're going to remove this locking plate that works like a cotter pin would work for the axle nut. Okay, so it's a 30mm nut, and you're going to want to have someone pressing on the brakes while you break this nut because it's at 250 foot-pounds of torque. Hold the steering wheel, like turn it that way a little bit more. Now actually hold it tight with both hands. Okay. You're going to take this and set it to the side. And we'll continue with the next step. The next step is to remove these 13mm nuts. There's one here on the brake caliper and one down below. Take those out. Then we're going to set the brake caliper up and out of the way, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, the nuts are loose. I'm going to take this caliper off. We're going to hang it up here out of the way using a bungee cord. I'm just going to tie it off to the spring. And that'll hold it in place without putting any stress on that brake line. Next we're going to take the tie rod loose. Uses a 13mm nut on top and a 15 on the bottom. Pull this out. I'll just put these back together so I know they go together. Then we just pull this over to the side and let it hang. Okay, next we're going to take out this bolt that secures the control arm to the upper A-arm. Uses a 15mm on the head of the bolt and an 18 on the nut. Just gonna kind of push on it and it'll slide right on out. Just let that dangle. And once again, I'll put these together so I know they belong together. So the next step is just kind of to push the end of the axle out, and let's just kind of fall to the ground like that. Then we're going to take this, we're going to hang it up. Okay, so next you're going to take the axle and shove it in. You'll feel a piece, you'll feel a detent that's fairly hard to push. But before you do that, kind of take a wedge or a pry bar and shove it here. Then you're going to push against this and at the same time wedge to get it loose. And once it's loose, then you can just pull it out. The reason you have to do that is there's this circlip and there's a pin that goes in and out when you push on this. See, you can see this pin. And that's what makes it so there's enough clearance for this to come out. So the next step you're going to do is you're going to take off the band holding this in and this end of the boot on. Then we're going to cut this off. And then we're going to wrap this in duct tape, put it in a vise, and we'll jerk it out. And then we'll be able to put the new CV boot on.